32 minutes past the 9 o'clock hour. Welcome back to the KIX 96.5 morning show with 13 top 10 hits, 6 number ones, over 7 million albums sold. Daughter of a music legend, member of the Grand Ole Opry. She's an actor, an entertainer. Pam Tillis has made her mark in music, and she isn't stopping. She's on tour right now. She's at the WYO Theater in Sheridan tonight. Go and grab your tickets at wyotheater.com. We're so excited to have the one and only Pam Tillis on the show. First, Pam, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, and thank you for that really great introduction.
Well, I appreciate it. But, man, 3-decade career. But people say, oh, she's the daughter of Mel Tillis. She got special treatment. But you didn't, Pam. Reading your bio, holy cow, you two butted heads. Your first album wasn't country. Your first single was a disco song. Was this a teenage rebellion? What was this?
Yeah, well, I don't know. You know, I just always loved all kinds of music. And it's funny now, I think things have really changed in country music. And I think most country fans, you know, they love everything, especially you go to these big country concerts now, and parts of it sound straight up like you're at a rock show, and then there'll be rap, and there'll be, you know, it's just everything. And so I think most people listen to a lot of stuff. But the reason I kind of went off on a little different path for a little while, when I was just starting to get ambitious about becoming a singer, in high school, I was starting to think seriously about what I was going to do with myself. And Daddy was at the peak of his career. I mean, he was Entertainer of the year I graduated from high school. And I thought, you know, having some idea of what it was like to be either the brother, sister, kid of a famous person, I knew how challenging. I'd seen other people, you know, how hard that was to get out of the shadow of a superstar relative. And I thought, well, nobody's ever going to pay attention to me. And I'm like, I like all this other stuff. Maybe I just need to go off and be in a different lane. And I tried that for a while, and there was a lot of reasons that I came back to country. And one, you know, at that time, Nashville has changed a lot, and there's a lot of pop and rock music being made out of Nashville. But back then, if you wanted to be a pop star and you were from Nashville, people kind of laughed at you. I didn't want to, I just did not want to live in L.A. And I was a young single mom, and I just couldn't see it. That was part of it. And then the other part of it was, you know, my songwriting and my accent, they never quite left country, you know what I mean? That was just baked into me. And then the other thing that started happening, it was sort of a perfect storm, a good storm, but I just noticed that there were some other artists hitting the airwaves, like the style and the taste, the trends were kind of coming around to where, to the way I perceive music. And all of a sudden, country wasn't just my dad's country. You know how they say my dad's Oldsmobile, you're sitting in your father's Oldsmobile. You know, country was changing. It was getting younger. People that had grown up on the kind of music I'd grown up on, you know, rock and roll and different things, that kind of energy, even if it wasn't quite in the music yet, you could hear that sensibility kind of changing. And I'm like, well, I could fit in here, you know. I'm not forcing it. I'm not pretending to be somebody I'm not. And so I came back to country. And then once that idea got into my head, and then I, like, embraced it, and then I felt like, I've often said I felt like, you know, when Dorothy came back, when she came out of Oz, and she was back in her bed, and all her relatives were smiling down at her, and she's like, you know, she had come home to what, she was appreciating everything that was in her backyard. And I always felt like Dorothy after she got back from Oz.
You signed with Arista Nashville, which was a new label then. They signed like five people at the time. Leroy Parnell, Asleep at the Wheel, Michelle Wright, and just some guy named Alan Jackson.
And Brooks and Dunn.
Well, yeah, and then you work with KIX Brooks, and you write Tomorrow's World.
Yeah. Well, we wrote that before either one of us signed with Arista, you know, because I was in that staff writer. I was a staff songwriter, and he was too. He was over at Tree Music Publishing, and but Tim DuBois. Well, Clive Davis decided, and he's the man behind Whitney Houston and tons of artists. You'd have to look up Arista Records and see Clive Davis is the music mogul in the dictionary. Anyway, but Clive Davis got in his head that he wanted to open a Nashville branch, and he was understanding that country was blowing up, and it was a good timing for me. I can't, of course, it was great for KIX and Ronnie and Alan and everybody, but it was especially good for being a woman, because I've been knocking around Nashville for about 15 years, and I'd actually had a couple other record deals that just didn't take off. But, I was still out shopping for a deal and, hoping I'd get a good record deal, hoping three times would be a charm.
Yeah.
And I had one music producer friend of mine. He said, well, Pam, he said, I'm sorry. He goes, it's just not a great time. None of the labels are looking for a female artist. Well, he didn't know that Clive Davis was about to open Arista, and that little door opened for me, and that was how that all came about.
Yeah, well, and put yourself in my place, put you to stardom back in 1991. Maybe it was Memphis, your signature song. You recorded this song with Warner. Arista didn't want it because they thought it was too poppy.
Well, let me clear that up. So I had recorded on Warner Brothers, and it didn't really happen. And I'll tell you what, I'm so glad that nothing more happened with that song, because it was almost like when we started over again with it at Arista, it was new.
Yeah.
It was, it was like basically nobody had heard it the first time. And to be fair, the first time I recorded that, with a different group and different producer, it was not good. It wasn't good. I'll admit it. It was terrible. And no offense to any of the players, sometimes it's a chemistry, it's something in the air, you're capturing something in the moment. Who knows why one, you can record the same song twice, and one time it's not good, and next time it's brilliant. But a few years later, I still believed in the song, and we recorded it, got my deal, and actually what happened with that, when you're talking about it being too pop, actually Arista was really excited about the song. However, this is how much country radio's changed. We had this blazing guitar solo on it that is the version most people hear now. But at the time, there were still a few stations out there that were so country that guitar solo was just too rock and roll for them. And that's funny now, because country is so pop and rock and edgy. And so we recorded. There's a second version floating around that some of the stations have played years ago, and it was with a steel guitar solo.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so there was actually, in the end, there were 3 versions of Maybe It Was Memphis.
Wow.
And now there's a lot of versions of Maybe It Was Memphis, because so many people keep covering it.
Now there's a million of them, which have to make you feel good. We're chatting with Pam Tillis. Go check her out, PamTillis.com. She's on Facebook, Instagram. Go to YouTube, Spotify. She's everywhere. You can see her tonight at the WYO Theater in Sheridan. Go to WYOtheater.com to get your tickets. Well, we talked to a lot of new stars on the show. We just had Tanner Irsay. He was just at the Grand Ole Opry. You just celebrated 23 years last month of being in the Grand Ole Opry. Is it still special every time you step in the circle?
It is. It is. It is just, there's no other show like that in the world, and you're standing where just some incredible people have stood, and especially as an Opry member, it's a huge honor to be a part of that family, and it really does stand for the best of country music. It really does. And I'm excited to, of course, in the 23 years that I've been a member, the family has grown, and it's always, I don't always, sometimes I miss it, but I try to welcome newcomers into the fold, and it's just really cool. And the Opry is, I don't know, if you're out there listening, if you've never been, I'd encourage you to go. it's amazing. They are still packing them in.
Oh, yeah.
And I think they do it like 3 nights a week, and every time I ever go, it's just about full, if it's not full.
Yeah, it's an amazing place. Dolly Parton, you wrote a song, or she covered one of your songs, like in the mid-'80s. You and Dolly have crossed paths many a times. How's your relationship with Dolly?
Dolly is, well, first of all, she's a family friend, so it's a little bit different. She was a great friend of Daddy's, I should say. And I grew up, Dolly was on the scene from when I can remember kind of being a little bit aware of what was going on. We were on the Porter Wagner show. I think I was 6 years old or 7, and then there were 4 of us. It was 7, sister 5, a sister 3, a brother who was just barely, he might have been in diapers, underneath his little show outfit. No, it was really funny. Dolly Parton, I grew up with her, and she was so kind. When I started having a little bit of success, she was just, she's like, well, welcome to the club, Pam. She kind of treated me like just made me feel validated, and she had me sing on, I think I've sung on 2 or 3 of Dolly's records, and she came and sang. I did an album as a tribute to my dad. I did a bunch of Daddy's Pam Tillis songs, and Dolly came and sang on it. And, when he passed, she took the time. You figure she's got to be a pretty busy gal, right?
Yeah.
She took the time to write me a personal letter, and Dolly she's at the top of the... I can't even tell you how much I respect her and look up to her and try to learn from her. I love Dolly.
Yeah, she's a living legend. That's for sure. One funny thing I noticed, Pam, your album
Dolly
covers.
By the way, Dolly for president.
Exactly. Dolly should be president. Looking at all your album covers, most of them you're sitting on something. It's funny. I don't know what the deal is with you sitting on chairs, you sitting on couches.
I'm just tired. No. Damn it. No, I need a break. No.
I need a break. I just recorded this album. I'm tired now.
I don't know. I like furniture. I don't know. I never even thought about it. That's funny. Next time just because you said something, I'm going to be, let's see, what can I do? I'm going to parachute.
Exactly. You're going to be coming out of the sky or something.
You just wait.
That's on the next one. Oh, man, it's just crazy. I mean, you look amazing, Pam. You look better now than I think you did 15, 20 years ago. Well, how do you do it?
Give or take 10 or 15 pounds. I'm okay. I don't know. Thank you. I do have fairly good genes, or I couldn't still be in the business. Tell you what, Daddy was, he just had the stamina. Both my parents had this crazy stamina. And, so I guess I get some pretty good genes.
Yeah. Well, Elvis Music Salute you did last month. This had to be cool.
Oh, it was. I can't even. It was the most fun. I told the audience, it was a little bit like, I kind of had this pinch me, I must be dreaming moment on stage. It's like you ate pizza too late and you have a weird, you ever eat too late and then it makes you have funny dreams? I'm like, this can't be happening. But Elvis Week it's kind of a memorial celebration of Elvis passed in August. So every year they do an Elvis Week. People come from all over the world. It's crazy. It's Elvis 24/7. And so there was a show at Graceland Soundstage. It's a venue that they built adjacent to Graceland in the hotel. And there was this big band, 3-piece horn section. Wow. I hired an extra harmonica player. I had my fiddle player and my front of house guy play extra floor toms. I mean, it was like so big, and I sang Bossa Nova Baby and Blue Suede Shoes, and can't tell you how much fun it was.
Oh, that had to be awesome.
And of course, people that love Elvis music were in the audience, and they went crazy. And Darlene Love, the great Darlene Love, closed out the show, 82 years old, and just killed it. And John Schneider was there, and Dennis Quaid, and yeah, it was so much fun.
Yeah, how's John doing?
You know, bless his heart, he is still a tender mess. He is, you know, he lost his wife, and he will. Yeah, he talked to me real honestly, and my heart aches for him, but he's carrying on.
Yeah, it was good to see him that he was performing again. So
and he sounded amazing. He was killer. He just killed it. He was awesome.
Yeah. Mi Vida Loca, My Crazy Life. We played it earlier. Could you believe how much success you had with that song?
I was surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but a lot of my songs were a little bit different.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit left to center, and so I don't know who. Yeah, but something about it clicked.
Yeah.
I was in Ireland. I turned on the TV, and they were having a show like, The Voice or American Idol or something, and there was a girl, and this, some Irish girl singing "Mi Vida Loca." It was funny. So.
Yeah, amazing. Do you get enough credit, Pam, with your success?
Oh, probably not.
No, I don't think you do. I mean, because you're a female? Is it because you're a Mel's daughter? What? I mean, you had so many hurdles that you had to go over.
I just watched the Little Richard documentary on CNN, and it was so great. And instead of being, they gave him, first of all, I didn't realize, and now I look back on you mentioned Elvis. Both Elvis and Little Richard are people that sometimes you grow up with people and you just take it for granted what kind of ground they broke.
Yeah. And
you have to figure it out later on what their place in music. I don't know if that doesn't apply to me, but I had my little, I mapped out a little piece of ground. I claimed a little piece of turf, and all I can say is, whether I've gotten my props or not, I don't know. I try to keep it all in check and be, have humility. All I can say, and I'm not trying to be fake sentimental or anything like that, is at the end of the day, I don't know if it matters, what the charts say or how many awards you get or anything. It's did your music mean something to somebody, and did it help somebody? And I've been told from fans, and that's what matters most to me. And people say, fans say, they'll say, "I love you," and that's what it's about. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, and this morning I've told like 3 people that have came into the studio that you're coming on, and they've all perked up and go, "I love Pam Tillis." So
that's great. That's great.
There you go. Your tease about the Grand Ole Opry on your Facebook page, you said when you pass the torch, whenever that time comes, how long are we going to keep at this?
Oh, well, you're paying attention. I don't know.
Was that foreshadowing? Were you teasing something, Pam? What?
No, but in all reality, the phone hasn't. The dates are still coming in. I've got a healthy calendar.
Oh yeah. She's not stopping anytime soon, but
you don't know when it's going to fall off. And at a certain point, it's like I'm a. Now you got me talking shop. I hope this isn't boring to you guys out there, but I'm like any other small business, and the numbers have to add up. And when the numbers don't add up, and I can't afford to take the bus out or pay my people the way I want to pay them, I'll stay home. But as long as the people show up for me, I want to show up for them. So
show up for her tonight. Weill Theater, an evening with Pam Tillis. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, thank you.
It's going to be amazing. Tonight, 7 o'clock, go to weilltheater.com and get your tickets now. Well, Pam, I've been looking forward to it all week. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on. And have an amazing show tonight.
I appreciate you very much. I don't know if you'll be there or not, but if you are, say hi. And, here we go.
For sure. And before we came on the air, she said how beautiful it is. So there you go.
That's right. And I mean that. Can I still afford property here?
I don't know. I don't know if any of us can.
I know.
Right now.
It is gorgeous. We're enjoying it.
Yeah. Go and see her tonight. Weill Theater. Here is a classic. Maybe it was Memphis. It's Pam Tillis. It's KIX 96.5.